Miguel, Miguel, kailangan mo na pumunta dito sa Dubai. You can't stay there forever. Patay na ang papa mo. Ano gagawin mo?
Ma, hindi ako basta-bastang pwedeng pumunta ng Dubai. Anong gagawin ko doon? Pinaghirapan ni Papa itong bahay na to. Tapos bigla akong aalis? Anong kalokohan yan?
Alam mo, di na kita maintindihan, anak. Bahala ka sa buhay mo.
Hello everyone, welcome to Get to Know Your Country, where we introduce to you all truth and nothing but the truth about the country. This episode is all about the United Arab Emirates. The United Arab Emirates or UAE is a country situated in the Middle East, bordering the Gulf of Oman and the Persian Gulf, and is between Oman and Saudi Arabia. If we were to talk about its geographic advantage, it is indeed a strategic location that is slightly in the south of the Strait of Hormuz, the transport point for the world crude oil. If you were to ask what's one of the sources of the Emirates' pride, it could be deduced to their flag. Their flag was designed by the 19-year-old Abdullah Muhammad Al Maaina, the exact flag that stood out among its competitors to be worthy of being the symbol of the country's union. The flag compromises the pan-Arab colors, which are red, green, white, and black. These colors were not chosen just because it looks good. Every color signifies something. The color red signifies their union as a country. In addition, it also gives honor preceded the generations who laid foundation to make the country as to what it is in the present time. The color green represents the country's prosperity in terms of its resources and heritage. The white denotes peace as well as the country's charitable deeds. Lastly, the black color altogether shows dominance, courage, and the strength of the Emirati people to stand against extremism and injustice. And another information, this was raised on the 2nd of November in 1971 by its founding father, High Highness Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan. This must have been such a great event to witness not only to the locals but also to the world. However, it is good to know that their national flag is honored every 3rd of November, starting last 2013 up to now.
Wow, the country is really full of fascinating facts. Thank you for that explanation. Allow me to add to that, Bernice. Now, to talk about the country itself, Daulat al-Amarat al-Arabiya al-Mutahida, or also known as the United Arab Emirates, was proclaimed as an independent sovereign and federal state on December 2, 1971, the same day when the flag was first raised. It has 7 emirates, namely Dubai, Sharjah, Ras Al Khaimah, Ajman Al Qawain, Fujairah, Abu Dhabi, which is the capital of UAE and also the largest city. Their national language is Arabic, but some speak Persian, English, Hindu, and Urdu. Your tour won't be complete without visiting the famous places in UAE and eating different kinds of cuisine. Number 1 on the bucket list is the Jevara Hotel in Dubai, which is famous for being the tallest building in the world and is certified by the Guinness World Records. Isn't it fantastic? Number 2 on the bucket list is their staple foods like shawarma, meat, fish, rice, and rare stuffed camel dish. Let us now move on to the culture-specific terms of the UAE. Did you guys know that the Arabic language has so many words that will charm you? Their language offers a glimpse into the country's long and rich history, creating a collection of unique terms with different meanings from a universal context. Here are only some of those words and their denotations. Starting off with the word moat. The word moat in the English language means a deep and wide trench around the rampart of a castle that is usually filled with water, while in the Arabic language it means depth. Second is the word dean. We all know that a dean in English is the head of a college or a university faculty. However, the word dean in the Arabic language means religion. Next is far. It is used to indicate the extent to which one thing is distant from one another. For example, the park was not too far away. Meanwhile, the word far in the Arabic language means mouse or rat. Lastly, we have the word fat. In the English language, fat means having a large amount of excess flesh. However, fat in the Arabic language means to fail to hit, reach, or come into contact with. Take note that the term is not used in the context of missing someone. Let's have an example. I fat the train, or also translated as I missed the train. And that concludes the culture-specific terms in UAE. Let's hop on to the next one, which will be discussed by Margaret.
Thank you for that informative discussion, Jade. Now, you should also be aware of the different Emirati expressions. Marhaba is one of the most popular equivalents of hello in Arabic. The correct pronunciation would be marhaban, but some people opt to leave out the N. Assalamu alaikum, which translates to peace be upon you, is another fundamental Arabic greeting and is used by Muslim communities from all over the world. If you prefer a shorter, more casual way of saying hello, you can use salamu and hala. And if you want to ask how they've been, you can say kaifa haluk to a man and kaifa haluka to a woman. A response to that would be ana bikairi, shukran, meaning I'm fine, thank you. For goodbyes, you can part with ma'al salama, meaning go with peace. Moving on to time-specific greetings, good morning would be Sabah al-Khairi, and a typical response would be Sabah an-Nur. For both afternoons and evenings, you would use Masa al-Khairi, to which the response would be Masa an-Nur. Some other expressions are Ma'afi mushkila, which means no problem. Inshallah, meaning if God wills it, is commonly used to express your desire for something to happen, like if you're making plans with someone and you hope it comes to pass. Kalas means done or finished. Yalla means let's go or move quickly. Common gender-specific endearments used between close friends and or partners would be habibi for males and habibti for females. It translates to beloved in English. Lastly, I'm going to list off a few examples of Arabic idiomatic expressions. We mentioned the cat and it came jumping. This is the equivalent of speak of the devil and he shall appear, used when you're talking about someone and they show up. Whatever is an Hussein will come at night. It's used when a solution to a problem you've been thinking about all day appears in your dreams. Your heart is for Allah is used for cheerful and benevolent people. Fat and honey refers to things that fit each other perfectly. Having a radio in your mouth pertains to talkative people. Head over heels is another example. In Arabic, this is used to refer to someone or something that's undergone a complete change. And that's it for the expressions.
That's a wonderful explanation, Margaret. After grasping the different types of expressions and culture specific terms in UAE, there's another thing to learn to avoid misinterpretation, and that is their gestures. Now, let's have Bernice to teach us the most common gestures used in the UAE.
First of all, what is a gesture? A gesture is a movement of a physical body part, particularly a hand or the head, to express a thought or message. Gestures also vary depending on the culture of a specific country. These are the most common gestures used in the UAE. The first gesture is the tolerance sign. It was unveiled at an occasion in which four doves were released into the sky at the Burj Khalifa's base. That is why the sign looks like a bird. This sign means hope and acceptance. The second gesture is the wait, slow down, or listen to me sign. It is a sign that is seen all over the UAE on a daily basis. It can be used with a toot and a frown meaning wait. Also, while driving meaning please let me out, or while speaking to get someone's attention. The third gesture is the I don't know sign. The I don't know hand sign is made by flapping a cupped hand 180 degrees. A common occurrence in conversations with a language barriers, it can also be used in a come-on man situation or when asking for a price of an item. The fourth gesture is the come here sign. All you have to do is turn your hand over and do the same come hither action with all your fingers, which is identical to the cup hand. This signal is frequently used by a car to get the karakman's attention. The last sign is the win, victory, love. The W stands for win, the V for victory, and the L stands for love in this hand sign. It is known as Sheikh Muhammad's three-finger salute. This sign is also used by athletes to express their gratitude. And that's all for the common gestures.
Since Bernice taught you the common gestures in UAE, I'll be teaching you the gestures that you shouldn't do when you're in the country. If you're curious about what might lead you into trouble and what body motions are considered impolite in Arabic cultures, here are the 6 gestures that you should know to avoid misunderstandings when you're in the UAE. Thumbs up. Never give a thumbs up when you're in the West. While you may believe that a thumbs up indicates approval on Facebook, this is not the case in real life. The gestures is considered highly offensive in portions of the Arab world, and its impact is comparable to the middle finger in the UAE. Number 2. Pointing with the index finger. In regions of the Middle East, pointing at someone or anything with only one finger is regarded as exceedingly disrespectful and unpleasant. Even if you don't mean anything bad by it, many people take it to mean that you're picking on them or making fun of them. Number 3. Crossing legs. Crossing your legs is considered disrespectful in parts of the Middle East, especially if you're sitting next to someone who is older than you. When done in front of those who occupy a higher social or professional status, such as parents or superiors, it might be viewed as a display of arrogance and defiance. Number 4. Checking your watch while talking to someone. Even if it's casual or short conversation, looking at your watch while talking to someone in the UAE is considered unfriendly and insulting because it might be perceived as indicating that you don't want to be having this conversation. Number 5. Putting your palm up with all your fingertips touching. This is the listen to me sign that Bernice talked about. This would look offensive in a way that they would interpret it as a you better listen to me message. That is why you should never use this sign without the right situation or context. And last but not the least, greeting someone with your left hand. Many people in the Middle East consider greeting someone with the left hand as well as handing them something and eating with the left hand to be extremely disrespectful. The left hand is usually seen to be unhygienic. That is why all the gestures that Bernice mentioned should be shown using the right hand.
After learning the gestures and expressions commonly used in the UAE, let us proceed into answering the question what to expect when you work or even start a business in the United Arab Emirates. Foremost, I present to you 5 major reasons as to why UAE is one of the best places to start a business. Number 1, ease of doing business. As per the World Bank standards, starting a business in the UAE is considered a fairly easy process as it is currently ranked 16th in the World Bank's annual Ease of Doing Business ranking. Though New Zealand currently holds the title of the easiest place to do business, we can still look forward to more improvements as the UAE government is working on a series of reforms to meet its target of topping the said ranking in the years to come. Number 2, open trade regime. The trading is with low tariff and few non-tariff barriers to free market entry in the UAE, permitting its economy's solid growth. Number 3, ranking 9th in the top 10 most competitive countries in the world. Despite the adverse effects of the global pandemic, the United Arab Emirates remained to rank in the top 10 for 5 consecutive years, making it the sole country in the MENA region to do so. This also means that it outperformed leading countries like the US, Finland, Canada, Luxembourg, Germany, the UK, and France. Number 4, least corrupt country in the MENA region. Not only is the United Arab Emirates a competitive country, it is also rated as the least corrupt country as per the Transparency International's Corruption Perception Index in 2019. Number 5, low tax rate and tax exemptions. Recently, the decision of imposing the 9% tax on corporate profits starting from June 2023 made the country have one of the lowest corporate taxes in the world. It even has 30 free trade zones in Dubai wherein it enjoys benefit tax exemptions, property ownership, among others.
Now, how about when you work in the United Arab Emirates? What can you expect? For the working hours, workdays in United Arab Emirates run from Sunday to Thursday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. making the Friday and Saturday rest days. Consequently, in their culture, Friday is the day for family gatherings and even special prayers. During Ramadan, most establishments are closed but operate after sunset. Also, depending on the organization, the working hours during this occasion are lessened by 2 to 3 working hours. Thus, employees work only for 5 to 6 hours a day. It is important to note this information, particularly when most of your colleagues are Muslims. This can show how you care and respect their culture. Timekeeping is not given of the highest importance in the workplace, but punctuality is. Therefore, it is important to be punctual for work and meetings as it might be equated to respect for one another. Every one of us would want to maintain a great work-life balance as we enter the working industry. Well, if you ever choose to work in UAE, you've made the right choice. It is one of the countries that provide its employees with the most generous annual leave. Employees in UAE who have completed 12 months of service are entitled to 30 days of annual paid leave in addition to public holidays. Moreover, if an unfortunate event happened, employees can get up to 90 days of sick leave. For women, they can get 45 days off as maternity leave. This will enable mothers to fully recover. In addition, when they return to work, they are all bound to receive special consideration depending on their case. However, it seems that the country does not fully embrace a flexible working arrangement yet comparable to other countries. However, this might change as resolutions are being made to address this. This will then enable them to enjoy their time more as the world does not only revolve around work. As implied by the affirmation statements, their business etiquette is all about respect. Therefore, it is important to understand that their religion plays an important part in it. Communication are more formal in UAE. Greeting the oldest person first, then working down through seniority would be great. Also, compliments are common to build rapport, particularly with the company's business partners. For the dress code, they mostly wear traditional clothes, tishdasha for men and abaya for women. For expats, the formal attire would suffice given that it is modest and not revealing. Flashy jewelries and heavy perfumes are not recommended. It is a nice gesture for one to give a token gift as you meet people for the first time. Just make sure that it is not alcohol, pigskin product, personal item, anything with pork or anything related to dogs, as it can cause offense to your Muslim associates. Business cards are not very important, but if you happen to have one, it would be best to have the card both in Arabic and English language for your convenience. Also, when giving it, make sure to do it with your right hand, as using your left would be impolite. With regard to the organizational structure and hierarchy, it is very stratified. Older and more experienced employees get the top positions, making them the key decision makers. Conversely, lower level employees do not have many inputs when it comes to decision making. Though there is a strong preference for males over females, especially in higher levels, the UAE government supports women in the workplace and encourages equality to put an end to the stigma.
Now that you know what to expect in doing business, it is very important to know how you will converse if you wish to travel to UAE or even consider studying there. It is actually easier to connect with the locals, simply through English. The educational system changed as the country emerged with a new curriculum with the English language. The swift modernization and industrialization have caused the country to shift its system where English would be a priority, not just in education, but also in communication and in doing business. The UAE strives to cope with globalization by strengthening the language planning policy for citizens for them to be well equipped with the demands in the economy both locally and globally, as said by Austin et al. In 2014. The government modified the educational system as the country enters the K-12 curricula. This has made English the language of communication for foreigners, media, and young children, as claimed by Kenneth and Carroll in 2018. In a study of Simud, Al-Isa, and Lumgruber in 2020, English education has become in demand to which children are practicing starting kindergarten, hiring private English tutors, and watching English TV channels. Furthermore, the government has mandated the country to use English as the main language of instruction, consequently changing the cultural aspect of language in the UAE. However, it has negatively affected students with less privilege as they had difficulty understanding and coping, causing a number of students to fail or to drop out. With this system, it could be observed that English has become a necessity and has spread to various fields in UAE. According to Fossil in 2011, English has expanded to global diplomacy, mass communication, entertainment, and most importantly, social interaction. Moreover, according to Dorsey in 2018, street signs, advertisements, menus, and shop signs are now all bilingual, mixing Arabic and English. To add, Simud, Al-Isa, and Lumgruber in 2020 have also observed that communication-wise, locals are more comfortable conversing in Arabic mixed with English on a daily basis. Although English paved the way for positive effects, this has definitely changed the country's language culture. Since English is the language of business, engineering, modernity, and the gateway to universities, Arabic becomes less valuable or powerful in their minds. Arabic has become the language of home, religion, traditions, and the more routine parts of life, as said by Al-Isa and Dahan in 2011, while English holds all supremacy. In connection with daily interactions in English, the country utilized the language to meet consensus with foreign affairs and business. English has become a de facto lingua franca, which according to Randall and Samimi in 2010 is now being used in most banks, businesses, hospitals, and universities, may it be in the private or public sector. Hence, if you may consider migrating, working, or studying in the UAE, there is no need for you to be familiar with Arabic. You just have to be eloquent in the English language. As a matter of fact, according to Barnawi in 2017, it would be difficult to attain educational and career opportunities without English familiarity. And that is all you need to know about the basics in UAE. If you want to learn more about these information, check out the following references now shown on your screen. We hope you learned everything you need to know today and subscribe for more videos like this as we introduce you next to Turkey and Israel. This is Get to Know Your Country and see you soonest.
I'll tell Mom. Hey, Ma. Sino to? Hospital? He's gone? Ma!